Taylor. So my sustained investigation this year was like what I finalized to ask was how girls construct an ideal of themselves and sort of what influences or shapes these ideals. So I'm going to show you a piece. This is from a few years ago. It's a little bit rough. But I think this piece is really my starting point for the rest of my portfolio. So it shows two portraits and they're kind of mirroring each other, but one's much brighter and one's much darker. And I use a lot of journaling pieces. So this is like a newspaper, and that's like some newspaper clippings. And at the time I didn't really have an idea when I was going into this. It was just sort of for a grade in my art class. But I think it really sort of influenced me in the rest of my portfolio and focusing on portraits of girls and sort of like mirroring internal and external identity and sort of what creates that. So these are two pieces that are really similar. So I used a darker like graphite, and I sort of worked on my portraits. My portraits were rougher like 2 years ago, but I really like honed in on those because I wanted to make them better. And I experimented a lot with mirror pieces, and this one I used film from my photo class. And I sort of just wanted to show, this book is called Lolita. It's really weird, don't read it. But it's sort of, I think it says a lot about girlhood and identity. So I sort of just wanted to show like the negative aspects of girlhood and how a lot of outside pressures can sort of like force you to be somebody that you don't want to be as a girl. But these pieces sort of show that, and I used the darker colors because it's not a very bright thing to talk about. But then I sort of went into a complete different route for a few other pieces. So this one's brighter, and it's talking about comparison and sort of, trying to reach to be the best version of yourself because you think that's all you should be. But I think I use more feminine colors to show the more like hyper feminine version of like what society wants you to be. But yeah, this is the first piece from this year in AP. I used colored pencil for the first time in my portraits, and I sort of got better at doing portraits in that. This piece was an experiment. I did the portrait first in graphite, and I really practiced. It was supposed to just be a practice round of working with portraits, and I did it very large scale. This piece is my biggest one, I think. And I practiced with it, but I ended up really liking it, but I didn't want it to just be a portrait, so I added the mirror shards around it to show like comparison, and the viewer sort of has to acknowledge themselves when they're looking at it too, and you can judge the person in the picture, but you also sort of have to what does that say about you? That's kind of what I was going with that. This is my most recent piece. My model is in the crowd right now. So this one, I wanted to go back to my past pieces with journaling. So these are also pages from the book Lolita. And I sort of wanted to show how you kind of have to reflect on yourself to overcome outside perspectives. And you have to know who you are to be able to overcome what other people are telling you who you are. I really like this piece. I got a lot better at doing the graphite portraits. This piece, it's not the best picture of it, but I sort of wanted to show about how, similar to the last piece, that you have to acknowledge yourself when you're overcoming outside opinions, but I used the brighter colors here. And you'll see it's sort of similar to another piece I made, but sort of just, you have to acknowledge yourself and overcome these things. And this is the last one I have to show. So this one's really similar to the last piece, like a similar style with like the outlining of the portraits. But this one I wanted to show how a lot of anxiety comes with overcoming struggles, and when people tell you who you are, or like try to force you into being something, you sort of question yourself and you don't really know who you are, but then you just kind of have to work through it. So that's why I did a series of 3, like working through it, trying to figure it out. But yeah, those are my pieces.